Hi, my name is Duane, and this is my Harlem story. I'm Duane Chan Shue. I'm born New Yorker, born and raised, born right in Manhattan, Mount Sinai Hospital. Lived in Harlem, 129th Street, St. Nicholas Terrace, till about maybe fourth grade. And then the parents, we moved to the Bronx, Northeast Bronx. So I had a bunch of friends, and I had that sort of, you know, young and rambunctious sort of friendships and playfulness that boys who kind of like live in the country. So like more so than just the standard city life of living. Like we made a lot of our own toys. We like built things. We went on adventures. We rode bicycles. I was like a big BMX rider. I felt like me taking on that sport when I was like 14, that was going to be like my professional goal. Didn't want to deal with basketball. We just, tying in what you really love to do to like thinking of career goals even at that age, that was like my sort of dream. And then, other things developed. NBHD Brûlée opened its doors October 2019. So we primarily was only open 5 months prior to the pandemic. NBHD Brûlée, people always come up and say, wow, what does NBHD stand for? It starts to so mystery because like everyone wants to like guess what the abbreviation is for, and it's simple. NBHD this means neighborhood. It's a neighborhood brûlée. And then folks like, wow, that sounds catchy, but like what does brûlée even mean? And brûlée is just my artistic rendering of Harlem, where we are now. Harlem to me, and what it means to me, it's savory, sugary, it's caramelized, right? We are in a realm of gentrification, but with us, our spirit, our energy is very much in tow with why people label and what made Harlem famous. So that's why I consider it like caramelized now, Before I owned a cafe, I was still an entrepreneur. I first had a lighting company where I did front of house specialty lighting design, and then that also merged and fell into the realm of being a union electrician, which was a field of working on television shows, motion pictures, all shot throughout New York and the tri-state area. I'm part of Local 52, the union, the IATSE Local 52. Proud member still. I just haven't worked in a little while since opening the cafe, but that's the beauty of it. I can always like get on set, when I feel the need, and it's definitely a career that's much loved and it's very appreciative. I've learned a lot and have a lot of great experiences, and it's great to know that I can always fall back on that. I felt that I needed NBHD Brûlée to reflect on Harlem's past and within the present. I wanted the cafe to speak to us as a people. I wanted it to reflect where I'm from, where I live, based on the area as well. I mean, where we live, this whole area is the St. Nicholas Historic District. We have Strivers Row, and there wasn't an eatery or place that sort of matched that history. So I wanted to sort of like bring that to life as best as I could. In setting up the restaurant, right? This is actually my first go at a restaurant. Came from film and television, but I worked on sets where I probably was, I was on a stage and the stage is empty, and so I could sort of see the vision of how things could develop. And I just took great ownership to find mentors and being open and being able to just tell people what I knew and what I didn't know. And when you tell people that, they sort of give you little bits and pieces of information, almost like an investment banker takes on dividends, where you just, you hold it until it's ready, and then all of a sudden you get to know a little more day by day. So almost like day by day I was learning. And I had a great friend who was a caterer, and he teamed up with his protege, another person that he came up in the catering world with, teamed up and started a consulting firm and took on and consulted on myself opening NBHD, helped me with labor. We sat down and decided what I felt the neighborhood needed and what was my desires, to sort of create a menu. Like some of the breakfast items, like here we don't sell pork, so I try to spin. At first I took NBHD and wanted to spin on most like popular dishes throughout the neighborhoods of New York was the goal. Like have pastrami and maybe come up with some pizza and like different things like that. But then I started, as I grew a little bit within a few months, it was growing rapidly. I decided that it really needed to be its own and create its own image. But at the same time, it sort of falls in line with like with flavor. Most of the things, in Harlem too, we're full of flavor. And I wanted to give every dish something where you didn't have to dress up. You didn't need to add salt. You didn't need to do anything to it, but enjoy. So that was a goal, and I think I've created met that challenge a little bit. My ideas have come to life, and people seem to have liked those sort of things and sort of like additions that I do make. But like the menu choices, and then I listen to my employees and I listen to people. Like sometimes they say, "Oh wow, you should make something like a vegan dish, a vegetable dish," and then I try to spin it to that liking. Which item on the menu is my favorite? It's pretty tough because most of the items, like especially if you're a customer and you come in and you're looking at the menu trying to decide. It's basically, I tell people too, basically whatever you're in the mood for, it's probably going to be one of the best versions you ever had of that item in a sandwich form or salad. But for me, my go-to, honestly, I'm very simple. It's usually the tuna. I have a tuna po' boy, which is seasoned tuna fish with mixed greens on a baguette, French baguette. And usually that's my go-to. That and maybe some potato chips on the side. I'm very simple like that. But I do have other great dishes like Cajun shrimp and grits, seasoned grits that are spiced and already seasoned. You don't have to add anything to it. My shrimp po' boy is very famous. It's delicious. But I tell you a story, why the tuna as well. A gentleman called me in. I was working in the kitchen. A gentleman called me over and wanted to meet me. And he just had the tuna sandwich. And I thought maybe there was an issue with it. He had to talk to me. And he said, "Do you know, that tuna just reminded me of my grandmother's tuna." It just took me back. It was so good, so well done. I can't believe it. I couldn't remember that taste for so long. So, that made me feel good, and it made me feel like, wow, I am sort of on the right track. But coming from the design and like you come in and you notice this rusticness, there is music always playing, sort of like creating a vibe, a sort of ambiance, our own NBHD style. The design just really came from me working on a lot of film sets, working on a lot of locations, and just like going to different restaurants, and I've loved like old nostalgic sort of feels that restaurants give. I always love I feel like even some older New York restaurants that's probably been around 20, 30 years, they always have like, the white paint's never really white. It's always like sort of stained and yellowed, and that sort of like worn in but clean at the same time. So that's what the style I really wanted. Something that was like the wood burnt and warm and not really perfect, not so much modern I wanted just to reflect on old, because for me, even the area, the history, Strivers Road, we've been around since 1890s when it was built, the 1900s. So I wanted to reflect on something that, once I built the space, it felt like, and most people say when you come in, it felt like it's been here for years. It doesn't feel brand new. It's not a white box, a super modern design, So it really reflects on a sort of like a nostalgic feeling, nostalgia. Yes. The challenges that I face as a restaurateur is daily. Number one for me is labor, finding the right marriage, the right kitchen staff. So far, lucky enough, there's front of house and the back of house, and what we do as a cafe, we sell coffee and drinks, and the front of house is where customers are greeted and they felt welcome. The back of house is where all the food gets prepped, made, and then it's a full system, and it really takes skilled labor to do so. And sometimes just because of the pandemic, because it's just been a little tough, and that's the challenge, is to find the right people, the marriage, and work together without the bickering, the fighting. My style is really to operate family style. Everyone gets along. I really cannot operate with people that don't get along. That's one part of me that I don't know that I can't really focus on. I really got to focus on things that just really mesh well together, and people that mesh well together, and that's the only way I think things work successfully. And lucky enough that a lot of those people, 90% of my staffing, actually live right here in Harlem and not in the neighborhood right around us, because I always felt the talent is here. It is my job to try to pick and field and build and train, willing and able people that show you their desires to and that want to be at work. Well, the one advice I can always tell, and I tell people, put out, your will, put out the good energy, but you have to be open, very open. You can't hide your desires. And everyone you meet, you have to be your own spokesperson as well. You have to tell everyone daily what you're doing, what you're up to, and you have to be very focused on those factors. You have to work on it daily, or cut a couple hours a day working on it, working on the craft, understanding just the flow of business, understanding even the setup of design, taking courses. There's so many different courses New York City offers as well, that helps people that want to get into business, and really going around to different places. If you, say you want a juice bar, you need to go all around to many different juice bars. You want to open a coffee shop, you have to go around to many different coffee shops and just see the flow, look at the menu, check out how you're treated, and just see the positioning of the equipment and really get to learn it. And if you can, you really might want to work in one of those environments of whatever you're choosing to go into. So for people who are looking and searching for NBHD Brûlée, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and you can find us there.